and gentlemen. Oh shit. Okay, we're live on the air again with my dear friend. So, today we're discussing free speech. And I think this is an interesting topic. So, let's get started. So, what's your opinion about this nonsense?
Well, first of all, let me recognize the irony of being sort of. I'm going to take the anti-free speech, or at least anti-absolute free speech side of this. So let me recognize the irony of talking about free speech while I'm exercising free speech and still
So, you're,
speaking
so you're
against
gonna
it.
be an oppressive person. For,
Well, I don't know.
but
I'll let
but
the
explain how you want to in like what are the limits of free speech basically?
Okay, so the way I look at it is it's not a right that people have independent of other rights. So I see free speech as an extension of property rights. So if you're in your own house, or if, for example, if you're in a hangout like this using your own microphone and shit, you can say whatever you want. But I think it's a different question when you involve official institutions. And what I mean by this is I see the decline of Western civilization as very much connected to the the role that the universities played in promoting all these non-traditional, degenerate, democratic, egalitarian ideas. Like ultimately, that's where all these craziness comes from, because when you have public institutions like universities, where you allow these topics to be discussed, and I have certain values, and I think it's not just me, for a civilized society you have to have certain valuable values. There are that you can't question them, basically. And if you allow them to be questioned in official institutions, you're basically saying, okay, if we can question them, it means they're not absolute, and if they're not absolute, they can be replaced. And that's essentially what happened since the French Revolution. I mean, that you wouldn't have a French Revolution and all these other leftist revolutions that basically destroyed our society, and that have led to the thing we have today. That basically means the end of our peoples. It's where we are right now. I think it all stemmed from that, and it's a slow process. Of course, it took 300 years to reach this madness of leftism, but it started very slowly. First, you start, oh, is a traditional family a normal thing, and is God like not just God, but morality, like traditional morality? Is it wrong? Is it right? Let's question it, and you start slowly and slowly and slowly, and things start to get under the bus, like these values that we've held and that have held society together for thousands of years start to go by the wayside, because you've allowed a bunch of leftists to start spewing this bullshit, basically. And not just if they did it in their own homes or in their
Yeah, but I mean, if they would do it in their own homes and they would do it sneaky on your school or public institution, they would still think that way. I think the thing that is the most important is to debate them on these issues and not completely shut them down on it. I think it's better to debate people so you can debunk them and show them, okay, maybe your way is good, but have you thought about this? And have you thought about that? And have you thought about that effect? And then they will come to the conclusion in their head, yeah, maybe my idea is not so good after all, or if I change this on my idea, it would be better. So that's
well
why I see like I think you should be able to say anything, and you should be able to debate in a civilized way. I mean, if you're gonna shout at each other, of course, then you end it, because that is not a civilized debate.
yeah, but the problem I see with this is, well, most people are not capable of rational debate. So I'm not talking about the well, nowadays you have universities full of these people who are not capable of debating. But I see that, like, the reason why universities are basically worthless today is because you've allowed these values to lose their value, basically. And yeah, in a way I agree with you that we need to debate these people and show them that their ideas are wrong by rational means. But the problem is not them convincing us or us convincing them. Like when you have a debate, like right now we're having this debate, it's not like I don't think we disagree that much over the values that are actually.
No, we need to find someone. So, if there's anyone out there that wants to debate us, please contact me and we'll debate you.
Yeah, same. So but my point is we're not really debating with each other, or we are debating with each other, but the point is to convince people who are watching or people who are listening. And that's the same with universities. It just takes a little bit more. So you get these the first leftist goes in university, he starts saying, let's discuss traditional morality. Okay, let's discuss. And people in the 1700s or something, they would say, well, you're clearly wrong, because look at our society, it's great, all our art is high art.
Oh,
We
don't
have a
start about
stable.
art. That is just retarded. I went to art school. I am not gonna admit. I went there. I did the trials for it. I was accepted for my art, and this was out of 150 people. I was selected with 20 others. Then I had the talk with the art teacher, and this is why I was rejected.
And because of the talk.
Yeah, not
What
because of
did you
my art.
say?
My art beat more than 130 people. My art was awesome. But I
But
was just
what did
talking with them, and they were like, "Hey, we're having none of this."
what did you say?
I think I said this sounds really stupid, but I said I wanted to learn some skills, technical skills, and in art school that I later found out, you don't learn shit of technical skills. You learn how to be uh, I don't know, a free thinker, and you don't need any. You just put the red line there, and abstract, yellow line to that. I don't know, but you don't learn any skills of mathematics, positioning. Skills that are just even using what do you
A
call it?
paintbrush.
No, you use how to stick. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's also some women that stick the paintbrush up their vagina and call it vagina art or whatever. But that's just retarded.
Gross. And
Yeah, I
gross.
mean, that's not art. That's just being fucking retarded.
Yeah, but that goes to my point, that it's the same. It's the same with pretty much every value that we hold dear. Everything that is great, that was great about our civilization, like art,
Yeah, but you can see it in
morality.
the art how the civilization is going now, and you can see the art moving the other direct. Like not, I mean, not the art that they are making art school, but you see the art of people. You see everybody doing their own stuff, and they don't need anyone to do art. Listen, guys, if you want to do some amazing art and you're up for it, go on YouTube, learn tutorials, learn how to do stuff from there. Don't waste your fucking time on idiot schools like this, because you're not gonna learn shit. The only thing, this is what I also learned when I was in my other school, and we had also art teachers. I was only fighting with my art teacher. I'm not joking. I was only fighting with him.
Yeah, but that's my point. And of course we live in very different times, and right now if someone wants to learn something, it's just stupid to go to school, pretty unless you want to be a doctor or something hard science, basically. If you want to go on the hard sciences, then yeah, you should probably go to a university. But all these other fields like philosophy, literature, art, all the human sciences, let's say, or the
Yeah,
social
not the hard
sciences as well.
sciences or anything that's useful. It's all bollocks.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is, the reason why we got to this point where it's pointless to go to university is because you've allowed, for example, the first abstract painter to start spewing his bullshit and say, no, art is not about beauty or about technique or about portraying reality in a different light. It's about uh, the idea, the concept behind it. And once you start putting these ideas in, and especially once you start accepting them in an official institution like a university, then you start going down this path, and eventually you reach Pollock, which is basically just throwing paint into a thing, and then eventually you get to vagina art. And
I mean, someone upturned a bin on the floor and they called it art. This sort of shit is for me. In all fairness, I want to stick a pole up your ass and put you in the forest and call it art.
Well, the problem is that too would be art, according to those
Yeah,
people.
yeah, but then after they done that shit, they will not call it art anymore. But they call it
Well, if they were
entitlement.
consistent, they would call it art, but it's clearly not art. Yeah.
Well,
So
I think to be fair, what Vlad Tepes did to the Turks and to his own people, it was kind of art.
well,
But it's
Vlad the Impaler.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
That was
I'm not.
art. That was a masterpiece.
I don't really like that guy. Like the, it's not a hero, a historical hero of mine.
He killed a lot of Muslims, so you would enjoy him.
Well, yeah, but I'm not for killing people in general unless it's in self-defense or
It
something.
wasn't self-defense. That was the only way.
Well,
He had a giant Ottoman army coming towards him, so that was the only way he could defend himself. Just make them so scared they would shit themselves and run home.
yeah, I know in war things are different. But anyway, not to get off topic to Vlad the Impaler.
I will
Um,
do that in the next podcast.
okay, fair enough. I don't know enough about Vlad the Impaler to to talk about it really.
All right.
Uh, but maybe you can educate me on that topic. That's fine. But
Yeah, but let's go back to our original topic.
yeah, if maybe for that podcast you can invite some other guy who knows about history and a little more than I do, and I'll just sit quiet and just say jokes to alleviate the for comic relief or something. Okay, so back to the situation at hand.
Hmm.
Um, I right now. So my this is how I see that absolute freedom of speech, especially or particularly in official institutions, is where we got to this point. So how do we get out of this point? And the way I see it, the only way is for uh, well, first of all, we need to get off of any supranational entity like the European Union, the United Nations, all that bullshit. Because those guys are not interested in promoting any real values. Their only value is power. So they will not help us. And
Yeah, to be fair, they're quite hilarious with Saudi Arabia as now the main one for women rights. I must say, women, if you don't know, United Nations is not doing anything for you. Just look who is in charge of the women's. Like,
well, the
can you
United
make it?
Nations.
Huh?
The United Nations are the ones promoting, for example, race replacement migration. They are
Yeah.
the ones. They openly talk about this. They want to replace the population in Europe with foreigners, and they just don't care. So the first step is to get out of these supranational entities. Then we can start to have a government that really puts things in order. And what I say that government. So lefties, what they want is a big, weak government. What I want is a small, strong government. And what I mean by that is a government that doesn't interfere in a lot of things, but that at its core has very, very specific and very non-negotiable values. And that
Yeah.
means as well not giving money to universities that are promoting degeneracy, for example. And that goes for art, that goes for political science, that goes for pretty much anything that's not hard science. Because well, but to go even further, even in hard science, for example, the global warming shit, that it's just shit. It's not a consensus, and they're talking about putting people in jail who don't agree with them. So you can see even hard
No,
science can
they
get
put.
corrupted.
That's the thing. People think we're living in a free society, but if you don't agree with them, and you don't agree on them on the main topics and that sort of shit, you can get destroyed and you can lose all your livelihood and you can. I mean, it's not a democratic society that we're living in. We're not open-minded for everything. What I suggest is that we're open-minded and can discuss anything. How matter how hard the topic is, we should discuss everything, because if you put blinders over it, it's horrible and uh, it becomes a taboo. And if you have a taboo, then it is just a lot of
No, but
trouble to
but
open up on it.
I'm not saying for it to become a taboo. You always had these discussions. They just weren't sanctioned by official things. Like, for
Yeah,
example,
you mean that there's like support for certain ways of thinking. I think that, I mean, a subsidization of of people thinking. It doesn't matter if it's on the left or the right. Is as long as you give money to subsidize shit like that, I don't think you're in the right.
yeah, I
I think
agree
that
with
should totally, if you're in education and shit like that, or a free like extra class or something outside of normal study hours, then you should not get any money or be have like a second agenda or something like that. I think you should just fuck off. In all
yeah.
fairness, all this bullshit about gender studies being enforced on people and so on, I think they should fuck off with this and bring back what's it called, home economics, so that people can learn how to properly act with money instead of being fucking retards and not having any money left on the end of the month.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would only disagree with one statement that you made, is that we don't live in a democratic society. So, because I don't view democracy as a good thing, I think democracy is the biggest cancer that has ever plagued humanity. Like, democracy is literally worse than Islam, because for me, it's like this. So you have AIDS. AIDS works by disabling your immune system, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, for example, you get a cold and you die from the cold, you don't die from the AIDS.
Yeah, you
So
mean like the democracy disables your.
yeah, democracy is the AIDS, and then you're basically vulnerable to all kinds of shit. You're vulnerable to gender studies and social justice worries and Islam and basically everything. And democracy it's a cancer. Well, it's AIDS. It's the worst fucking political idea that has ever graced the and it's our fault. I mean, it's the European civilization's fault. No other no other peoples ever thought of democracy, so maybe there's something wrong with us. I don't know. uh, but what I like maybe people understand democracy by like equate democracy with freedom, or equate democracy with freedom of choice or freedom to elect your rulers, and in a way they're right, but that's not the way I look at it. Because, for example, during medieval times there was representative courts, so people who paid taxes and people who had any property,
The
they,
people that were running the place, basically, they were in charge.
so people who had something of value to society, they got a chance to say what went on and what didn't go on. But when you start giving the vote to everyone regardless of their contribution, then you get this shit. You get
Yeah,
AIDS.
the only problem that you will say from the medieval side of things, that basically I would say, is that if you would put it back in that order, then you would get like a nobility, and then you would have the upwards mobility would be very limited for people. But I think we should find a system. I think we should still go to feudalism though, but I think we should find a
There
system where
was,
even the poor people can work themselves up to becoming um, more higher in the social
well,
structure.
that's another lie of the democratic era that we have now, that they teach this shit in schools. But there was upward mobility in feudalist times. There were plenty
Yeah,
of poor people that they saved money, they then bought uh, land somewhere, and then they themselves became lords of that land. And if they were good at managing that land, they would buy more land and more land, and they would
yeah,
move
but I mean,
upwards.
there, that was in the start, and I think later on it was more like inheriting and this way and that way, and then I think it was getting
Oh,
stuck
what's
because the people wanted to keep the power that they made. If you look at, for instance, the War of the Roses, it was one king killing another, and then killing everybody else to keep their power.
well, but you're always gonna have that shit. Like, you're always gonna have conflicts, and
Something
you're
like
always
that.
gonna have crazy people. The difference is, back in those days, you'd have, okay, you had this lord that was really stupid or really a psychopath, and you would go and kill a bunch of people. It would be terribly limited. Like it would kill very few people compared, for example, with what democracy kills. Like, for example, National Socialism or Nazism or and communism, they are uh, democratic phenomenons. They
Hmm.
appeal to the common people. They're not aristocratic ideals. So and if you put together communism and Nazism, and also, you know, what was the only nuclear weapon that was deployed? Who deployed it? Was it a monarchy, an absolute monarchy? Was it a feudalist system? No, it was a democracy. Arguably the biggest democracy, like the most iconic democracy you've ever had, the United States, was the one that deployed the most massively destructive armed weapon in the world ever. So
Yeah.
in feudalism times, yes, you'd have conflict because humans are not angels. There's always conflict and there's always death and war. But the wars and the conflicts would be so limited compared to what we have right now, in which you
Yeah,
have.
but that was also the time and the weapons that they had to their availability, I think.
Yeah, but even so, imagine you have like a lord that decides, I want nuclear weapons because he's crazy and he wants, like, all the other
Yeah, some
lords
other
around
one.
him.
If there was someone with too much advantage, they would jump on him anyway.
Exactly, they would just, okay, this guy's getting fucking crazy. Let's jump him before he does something that destroys everyone. And right now, you don't have that mechanism.
No,
Like,
there's just one crazy country going around and doing all the crazy shit.
yeah, exactly. And it's the most powerful country. They have the biggest army. Like, they have a bigger army than all the other armies in the world combined.
No, China's army is quite big as well.
I don't mean like army in terms of people, but I mean in terms
In
of
terms of money wise,
expenditure. Yeah,
but in
exactly.
expenditure wise, I think they're wasting a lot of money on stupid shit.
Of course, they're wasting pretty much all of it because it doesn't serve any purpose. Like they're buying
If you,
those.
for instance, look at the Russians, they are trying to make new weapons, but they're trying to make them economic as well.
You
I
know,
mean, they're mixing and matching, and they're like, because they learned from Soviet Union, you can't build everything you want. You have to look into what you can build, what is affordable, and what can you build. And I think in America, it's just like how much shit we can slap on a plane.
yeah, and Russia is actually a good example because you have what you have there is more or less a king. Like they have elections and they have this new prime minister or whatever, but Putin is still the guy calling the shots. Essentially he owns the country. He is the monarch ruling the country, and that's why they're more well organized right now, and they will emerge very soon. If he keeps doing a good job, of course he can start doing a bad job, but if they keep opening their, like, being free market, allowing property rights to be defended, but at the same time not allowing this degeneracy that you have in the West to take hold in the institutions, they will be the new superpower, and they will be much stronger, not just because they're economically stronger, but because their people would be stronger because they are not
Yeah,
filled
they're
with this
united because
stupid
if you
shit.
look at the people, they are quite united behind Putin. If you look at it.
Exactly, because they see that, like, what you need a strong leader anywhere, because most people are not like you and I, or possibly even the people who are listening to this. They're not free thinkers. They don't they just
I think we're
follow.
only getting free thinkers on here. I don't think we're getting, because I haven't seen any hate comments yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, even if people disagree with us, they will, I think, at least in the beginning, they will disagree, in a civilized manner. But most people are just not like that. They're just followers. They need someone to follow and some very specific rules to follow. And if you don't give them, then you have all these, what you see in the ghettos, essentially, like people without a direction.
Yeah, but at the moment there's a lot of people that are just being focused into this directionless sense. I think they're being made into the despots from the modern world,
Yeah, I agree
and it's a shame.
completely.
I mean, you have good people, and they're getting completely destroyed by the system.
Yeah, I agree. But I think where we disagree is that I think what led to this was unlimited free speech. Like, if you didn't have unlimited free speech, you would never have these ideas like that are completely retarded. Like, right now you have the transgender, which is basically mental illness. They're
Oh
promoting
yeah,
this.
I agree that yeah, I will agree that it's a mental illness, and I mean, I don't think there's that many people that want to become a woman. I think it's something that is pushed by the media. But I would say that you're not allowed to make propaganda like this. And
Well,
I think you can talk about it. Of course, you can talk about it, but I think you should not force it down people's throats and make, for instance, force feed it into little children's throats that, oh, I might be a girl, or oh, I might be a boy, all that bullshit. Because children are really man, they do what the parents say. I mean, they're
well,
not
right
gonna
now,
say like, mommy and daddy are wrong. No, they're thinking, oh, mommy and daddy say I'm a girl. Okay, fine by me.
well, I just saw this news article earlier today about what they're doing in Australia and Canada, in which basically, imagine you're a child, you get all this propaganda in school because they're teaching this shit like transgender shit and
Yep.
non-binary shit to little kids like 6 7 years old, and they get this shit in school, and school is supposed to be, most parents, even if they are good parents, what does a good parent do? They say, listen to your teachers, because they're still in the old mindset that the teachers actually teach something valuable. So they say, pay attention in school, what they're teaching you is right, so do well in school. So they go to school, they listen to all this crap, and then they go home and they say, oh, mommy, daddy, I want to, I just heard about this transgender thing, and I think I'm not the
Yeah,
same
but that's what I
thing.
mean. I would say you should not allow this sort of propaganda into schools and playgrounds. It's something else. It's called propaganda, and it's not like free speech, because there's a
Well, you
foul
know
difference between them.
but it is, I mean, free speech also involves propaganda.
Yeah, it involves propaganda, but I mean, you have systematic propaganda, and you have like people saying stupid shit.
Well, but exactly, but that's the distinction I made. You always had people saying stupid shit all throughout history, but you never had official institutions and schools and universities saying, allowing this crap. They would, they would
Yeah,
just,
but then
you
you're
know,
saying that I mean, if it was up to you, basically you would have your normal values, and then if somebody would go like, I want to be transgender, and everybody should be transgender, and then the teacher would say, yeah, but that's not normal. You mean something like that?
well, first of all, I think children should not learn about sex from school. That's the first
Oh,
thing.
I think they should be educated, but I think it's not before they're 12.
Well, I don't believe in that. I mean, you should learn this shit from your parents. All parents should man the fuck up and learn how to talk about these issues with their children, because if they don't, what they get is a fucking pervert in school talking to their children about these issues. They should not learn this from some fucking pervert, some fucking school teacher who wants to indoctrinate their child. And you don't know what these people are like in their private homes. So like, if you allow this in school, it's opening the door for the worst kind of crap imaginable. So just man the fuck up and talk about these difficult issues with your child.
Yeah,
Like,
but the problem is also, especially with you should think the fathers and the mothers that are now the fathers and the mothers from the children. How were they raised? You have to think of this as well.
well, of course, yeah, I agree with that, but I think the potential damage of having this in school versus the potential damage of having a couple of parents teach their
Yeah,
kids
that
stupid
are
shit.
lunatics. Yeah, man.
It goes again for it's the same thing. It's limited damage versus universal damage.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's So I really don't think kids should learn
But I don't
sex
think
things.
kids want to hear their parents talking about fucking or
But
something.
also depends on what you mean by sex. I mean, if you're learning in biology about the way the human body works, that's fine because
Yeah, I
then
agree.
you're
That would
learning.
be a fine study. And then you're also taking it sort of out of context that it's something more than just the nice pictures in pornography or something like that.
Exactly. They're not really learning about sex. They're learning about biology. It's
Yeah.
men have a penis, woman has a vagina, and
And you
this
would,
is how they
yeah,
work.
you would, but now there's like super gender studies, and they will learn that you can be like both and blah blah blah, that sort of shit. Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know how it was in the Netherlands, but even here in Portugal, they it was already starting to be like we would learn. Okay, man has a penis, woman has a vagina. This is how it works. But besides that, what do they do? The man puts a penis inside of the woman's vagina, and what does it? It's not just this is the part I disagree with. So they would say it serves to make babies. That's fine because that's true, but it's also for pleasure. And I think you should not like I was
They
12
should
at the
only
time.
you want, I want them only to be taught that that's only for making babies, not for pleasure. But then it's also like, then you go back to basically the morality of women nowadays, and that's we talked in our women podcast about.
Yeah, well, but that's part of the problem because most school teachers nowadays are women.
Yeah, yeah, that's also for quite problematic. But I think that's because of all the, yeah, if you're a school teacher, if a guy, oh man, you must be a pedophile straight away.
Well, yeah, but that's part of this degenerate culture that allowed men to be completely pussified by and then well it was only natural that if you pussify men, then why not have women teach the classes anyway, because an effeminate man uh, it, you know
Yeah, but you're stripping all the role models from the male students, and then you get degenerate people.
yeah, but if you have pussified men, is that really a good role model?
No, but I mean, if you, yeah, but if you pussify the man and you strip all the role models, then you're getting a whole bunch of fucking retards. I
Yeah,
mean, they don't know how. I mean, I'm not saying that you should have like this, because first of all, you're gonna create a bunch of men that don't know have seen any role model. They will be, first of all, they will hit women. I know that for sure. They will be abusive. They will do all sorts of shit that's not good for them. Only coming out, this is only. I'm sure there's gonna be good people coming out of it, but most of them are gonna be fucked up.
yeah, and
And then the women are gonna complain, "Oh, my boyfriend was not a good man," and they're the only thing that is society creating is a bunch of assholes. And it doesn't
and
matter where they're from, if they're white, if they're black, if they're brown, they'll become freaking assholes. And you have it all to thank to yourself, because you had to be like, "Oh yeah, but the one woman can raise one kid, and he doesn't need any man in his life or whatever." He never saw how it should be. That's the problem.
yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. By allowing the traditional family to be questioned and to be discussed in schools and universities, like, is it really okay? Is it really like should it be a man and a woman, or can we have two guys or two girls, or just one mom, and then subsidizing all these non-traditional families? So by allowing the free speech on this topic, you basically created this problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but I think if you ban something, then it's gonna be bad. I think you should be open to all stuff.
No,
In
look,
all fairness.
homosexuals have existed forever. Okay, that
Yeah,
that
but to be fair, that's also bullshit. I call on that, because there's a lot of people that look at men's relationship, that men are good friends together because they can talk with each other instead of talking to a woman, and they call anyone that has a friend gay. I mean,
yeah, but that's part of the modern stupid culture that you're like. Actually, I think that's part of the subversion, because what they want is for men to not have friends. They want men to be isolated. And
Yeah,
how do you do that? Well, if a man has a friend and gives him a hug, like a manly hug, not a gay hug, not with any
yeah,
sexual intention, they say, ah, that's gay. And actually, what you see, I was reading this article the other day, and there was a guy that traveled all over the world, and he saw all these different cultures, and what he observed was this. Uh, for example, in Azerbaijan, they have a very, very conservative attitude towards homosexuality. So it's not punishable by law, but you should keep to yourself. Like it's not something that it's public. It's something
mm,
that you do in private and you don't talk about it. And that's the way I think it should be, because it's just bad for society to allow this shit.
yeah,
And it's not hatred towards gays. It's just love towards civilization. Okay, so in this society where gays are more or less forced to live in the closet, what happens? Men kiss each other on on the cheeks. They hug constantly. Like friends give flowers to each other, like male friends. Like, and what you see in societies that allow gays to come out of the closet and gayness to be a part of society is that
hmm,
male friendships disappear. Like strong male friendships just disappear because all men then are
yeah. I
afraid to be
agree with
called
that
gay.
because this is gay. Because this is actually quite funny. I went to see the new Alien movie with my friend, and I am pretty sure that the people that we bought the ticket, like the cashier from the cinema, thought we were fucking gay.
Well, I honestly don't give a fuck. I mean,
You know what I mean? If this is like normal now. It's like, oh, you must be gay because you're two men going to the cinema.
yeah, no, it's look. I go. My girlfriend doesn't really like to go out at night, so whenever I go to a bar, it's just with one friend or two friends, max three friends, and they like. I don't give a fuck if people think we're gay. I really don't.
No,
Uh,
no, but I mean that it's now in society. If two men walk on the street, they're gay. It's not
yeah,
like
I know, I
they're
know.
normal friends. It's like this morality is flipped upside down, and this is normal now or something. That every man that walks, well, a pair of men that walk across the street, they're gay.
Yeah, but I
Normal
go back
friends,
to
there must be heterosexual, but if it's a man and another man, they must be fucking gay. And this
yeah,
is
but
like,
you know,
what the fuck?
I, I go back to my point. By allowing these alternative lifestyles and alternative ideas to be freely like freely promoted in an official capacity, like in the law or in school or anywhere official, you basically create these situations where first you allow them, and then when, like, after you don't even notice because it takes a while, but year after year after year, then you notice, fuck, all the normal values are fucking relegated to the past, and now our new values that we must accept without any question are promoted everywhere, and
Yeah,
this is what you see.
yeah,
So
I agree on that, but it's strange though. I think it's weird, but
yeah, no, I understand, because like I understand that this sounds very extremist, and maybe it is because we live in a fucking degenerate upside down society, but people need to realize that we, like, our civilization has existed for thousands of years, and not just ours, all civilizations that actually existed for more than 1,000 years, they have all been like this. They have never allowed this stupid relativist morality and relativist view of the world to take hold of the official institutions. And when they do, we see this shit. So it's not
yeah,
extremist. It's just, you know, this is the thing that never happened before. This is the thing that never works. And you see this in the Bible. And now I'm gonna sound like a crazy.
religious like,
Yeah,
oh, let's go down, man. And
but
I'm not making fun of you, religious
yeah,
people.
I know, but so before I start with my Bible story, um, I would just like to say to people, before you bash, just go read the fucking Bible, okay? It's full of great stories. So just go
Yeah,
read it.
I know, because and there was like always mental disabled people that you read the Bible to because they were all do this Christian shit and it was all about murder and all that shit. They enjoy this, man. Good shit.
Okay, so let me. So, but the what I was going to say about the Bible is, um, you have all these stories in the Old Testament mainly, where you had these surrounding societies and what they worshipped false gods. They worshipped crazy shit. Like they would sacrifice their babies to altars of cow gods and shit like that. And these societies do not last. They just don't last. And you'd have these other societies that were all free love, like the hippies, and everybody would fuck with everybody, and there would be no traditional family. These societies do not last. The societies that last have a very basic blueprint. Men and women should get married, should have children. uh, gender gender is non-negotiable. If you're born a man, you're basically a man. Of course there are the hermaphrodites and shit, but that's statistically that's 0.0.
Yeah, it's like statistically you push to
Yeah, so you
you
can't
push
base a
that.
society on a statistical nuisance. And basically what the Bible was getting at is that people like the Jews, for example, and I know a lot of people in the alt right and in the the neo reaction and there's a lot of
Oh, there's
people
a lot of Jews as well in there actually.
yeah, but there's a lot of people obsessed with the Jews for some reason. Well, they have some reason, but they're obsessed with the wrong Jews, I think. So,
Yeah.
but the Jews have existed for basically 5,000 years as a united people in exile. They don't have a nation, and they still keep their well, now they're starting to get fucked by modern society, but that's a different story. But for 4,000 years they have existed in different nations, separated by geography, and they still kept together. And why did they keep a coherent identity together? Why were they not assimilated? Why did they survive? And the reason why they did survive is because they follow good principles. They follow timeless, eternal, universal principles of morality, of rules, of normalcy, basically. And all
Hmm.
the other societies that are crazy, bad shit, that sacrifice babies, are transgender, are free love, all those have died and have been conquered and surpassed by
Well,
more.
I
Even
would say a very simple quote: if you don't make any babies and you don't have any new one generation, you're dying out. And that's very simple. And I see a lot of feminists now, like they're the only old cat ladies. I think in 40 years there won't be a feminist anymore because all the ones that were mopey bitches, they didn't have any offspring. And the
well,
ones that they tried to corrupt, they had parents to guard them from being corrupted, I think.
Well, that is true in some sense, but at the same time, a lot of these parents, they're not philosophers. They don't think about these issues, so they just trust the schools to teach their kids about these things. So I would say more than half the kids that go to school, the parents are not actively involved in their child's development, like intellectual development.
Yeah, you mean that they're just going to work and then they see their kid at 6 o'clock when they're coming home for dinner.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
even the Greeks had a great society, had great philosophers. They invented a lot of concepts that we still use today, and yet they got fucking surpassed. And why? Because they had this homosexual they promoted homosexuality, basically. So they had a social structure that was bound to be disrupted or be co-opted by a stronger morality. And that's what happened with, well, first the Jews, and then soon after the Christians. And the same with the Romans.
No,
the,
you
the
can't say
Romans,
that because the Romans went over the Greeks
well,
and
yeah, the
they
Romans went over
shit
the
out
Greeks,
of
but
them.
the reason, first of all, the Romans were not as gay obsessed as the
To
Greeks.
be fair, the Romans were nasty little shits because you know what happened when the basically the phalanxes from the Greeks were fighting with the Romans. This is in one battle. I'm not sure which one. I have to find out. But the Greeks surrendered, and they put their spears up, because they have big lances. So they surrendered. They just put the lances up. They can't do anything. Instead of that, instead of like letting them live and being like, okay, they surrendered. No, no, no. The Romans stabbed them all to death.
No, look, empires are pretty much always bad. The only empire I think that was good was the Portuguese, and that's because I'm Portuguese. No, but in all seriousness, empires tend to be self destruct because they go too far. So they become an empire because they're a strong society, but then after that, once you pass the point of you're a great society, so you become an empire, you're already on the way down because empires are.
When Portugal was created as an empire, there was a woman on the leading it.
I don't know about that. Which
Yeah.
woman?
Maria something, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was a woman.
Well, I've never heard that, but it's possible. I mean,
That
there's
gets your empire building out of your mind.
look. No, I'm never in favor of empire building. Actually, for example, Portugal, the decline in Portugal is extremely connected in all of our history. All of our time of decline was basically when we were trying either to expand our empire or to fight to keep it. So I would pretty much say, don't try to keep your empire. Don't try to expand. Just mind your own country.
Business.
Yeah, exactly. But and to go to the women in charge, of course, there have been strong women
Yeah, of
leading
course. But I
these
find it
things.
hilarious how the feminists always skip over these strong women. They have to find some elusive, vaguely known, far away Chinese or something.
Well, that's one of the things between the right and the left is that the right is much more willing to admit that there are exceptions, but the left is so absolutist in their ideas that they don't allow, like, if they see something that doesn't fit the pattern that they are promoting, they just ignore it, and actually they suppress it
Yeah, and
actively.
that's what you see now in a lot of universities. Although you're saying we should suppress it, actually, the left is doing the same that you don't want. Well, you want to suppress the left, but they are suppressing the right views. Well, the right views. I mean, not kind of normal views, but they're suppressing that now, and they want that banned from the colleges and from that. That's why I think it's a bad idea if you would do it the other way around, because you don't want it when they do it, and you don't want it when you do it.
I understand that point, but you know, for me, if an idea that's 10 years old, like transgenderism, doesn't have the same value as an idea that has thousands of years old.
Yeah, but
Like,
next tomorrow I can come up with a new idea and can revolutionize the existence of a human race. It doesn't matter that this is a one-day-old idea if it's a good idea. I think
look, I don't believe
that's
that.
why I think
You
you
know,
should debate them and debunk their stupid ideas and throw it to
look,
the trash of.
you 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 can come up with technological advancements. That's true, and those may and have revolutionized society. That's absolutely true. But we're still flesh. We're still human. We still have an two X chromosomes or an X and Y chromosome. Like
Yeah, but
the
I would say
rules.
more a revolution idea would be let's make everybody a cyborg or some shit like that.
Well, that maybe we can have another podcast about that because I have my I'm very very skeptic about that crap. I think that I think that will end humanity, and maybe
Probably
that's
that's
what
what I
people.
think. I think the cyborgs will murder out the rest of the fucking humans.
Exactly, and I think honestly that's what some people want because they hate humanity because they hate themselves. But
Yeah, because they're not happy. But the thing is, if I was someone that was gonna make this, I would not put anyone that's unhappy into a cyborg because that's not gonna end well.
well, but okay, so maybe let's end here, and we'll have the cyborg podcast for the next one.
All right.
Hopefully we had a lot of free speech here today. We discussed a lot of ideas,
Yeah, I
and
hope people, and I hope someone is willing to join as well, and then we can debate you as well if you like to join. So let
yep,
me know. And then I would say good evening to you all.
yeah, bye.